Hey everyone, my name's AK, I'm Swashbuckler, and these are my adventures. Today I'm going to be talking about all of my tips for taking vintage on the road. This is whenever you have somewhere you have to be and you have to dress in vintage or reenact or anything somewhere that's not your home, which can actually be a lot harder than you originally think. Very rarely is a reenactment down the street from your house or in your neighborhood. A lot of times it's across country or several states away. So these are just the things that I have picked up in a couple of trips here and there, and I hope they help you out. So I have absolutely no order, and I apologize if this is a jumbled mess, and I have my little cheat sheet here because I can't remember anything. So I guess we'll start in this corner, and that's kind of health stuff. You never know when you're going to just get sick, and trips almost always you get sick. So it's always important to pack tissues. I do not have a small container of them, so this is just a prop. But to pack tissues, and also something my mom always packs are peppermints, and they're good for stomach aches. Another thing that's important to bring, you never know you're going to get a cut or something, and it's always important to have some sort of disinfectant that you can put on it, and then a band-aid as well. So my family uses honey because it's actually a natural healer, and I just have a small tube of that here. And the other thing that always happens on trips, especially if you're going to a museum or any event that there's a lot of walking, which seems to be the only event that I go to, your feet get really sore and you wake up the next morning and you really don't want to go do it again. So any relief cream at all, the product that my family uses is Plexus Ease, and it just, you put it on your feet and the next morning you're ready to go. Emergency packs. This is very important, and the things that I always put in my emergency packs are band-aids, because vintage shoes almost always give me blisters, so it's always a good idea to put the band-aid on either before, or it's always handy to have them when you forgot to put them on and now you have blisters. And also safety pins, and I don't actually have one of the other things that I put in there, but just a pack. But safety pins have always come in handy, and whenever you're that person's rescuer because you brought safety pins and they desperately needed them and forgot them at home. So that is always handy to have. Next, moving on to a little bit more hair and makeup. I don't really have a lot of tips when it comes to hair and makeup. One thing when it comes to makeup is, if you're like me and don't wear makeup a lot and you really only wear makeup here, it's a handy thing to either be prepping a list beforehand, whenever, the week leading up to a trip, whenever you think of, oh, I should pack this, or oh, I should pack that, add it to the list so that when you actually get to packing, you just have this full list and you didn't really forget anything. I really don't have very many tips when it comes to makeup. Just to put it in a separate bag so that if anything leaks or anything, but that's kind of normal packing tips. For hair though, number one tip is to practice your hairstyle before you go. Now if you've been doing the same hairstyle over and over again, then you've pretty much got it down. But if you're not sure, then it's always a good idea to practice and make sure, because foam curls are a really tough and problematic way of curling, and no matter how many times you take and do them, they always will turn out differently. So it's important to practice so that you get a similar result every single time you do it. Let's try this again. So the camera ran out of storage. I had to go take some stuff off, and now we're back. Hopefully I remember what I was thinking, because I did the whole thing before realizing that it wasn't filming, and now I'm going to do it again. So we just did hairstyle, practicing your hairstyle before you go on the trip. There's a couple more tips in this general area. Weather is very unpredictable, so if it rains, there is a tip that I always bring foam curlers with me. If it rains and your curls all come out the next day, you're gonna have straight hair. So bringing curlers with you helps prevent that. Another tip is, again, foam curlers are unpredictable, so bringing a hairnet is really, really handy because, sorry I'm saying a lot, bringing a hairnet is very handy because if your hairstyle doesn't turn out the way you want it to, there's two things. One is you can put a hairnet in and it looks very authentic and you don't have to worry about your hair looking ridiculous. The other is bringing an overabundance of bobby pins, because if you change the hairstyle that you're doing, finish the sentence. When I had longer hair, I would try to curl it, and if it didn't curl, then what I would do is I would roll it up, and you need a lot of bobby pins for that. And there were occasions when I wouldn't bring enough bobby pins, and so my hair was always falling out throughout the rest of the day. So always bring a ridiculous amount of bobby pins. You'll be very happy that I told you to do that. Another thing is bringing a mirror. Probably see yourself in that. Trying not to say or and or like. How do you start a sentence? There is always, man, that is a lot harder than I thought. Okay, there are always situations where there's no mirror or there is not enough room for 10 girls to get ready in front of one mirror. So bringing a mirror is very handy because of that. With the trip that I'm going to this coming couple of days, we are staying in a tent on a friend's front lawn. So there is no bathroom or, well, there's a porta potty, but there's no bathroom or a shower to prep. So it's always handy to have a mirror for you to do your hair and your makeup. Side tip for the fact that there's no showers is my mom always brings baby wipes. I'm literally in halfway packed, so that's why some of this stuff is packed and some of it is random. But baby wipes, because at the end of each day or the morning you can always wipe yourself down, and it's sort of like taking a shower. Doesn't exactly count, but it's sort of like taking a shower. Okay, checking the list. Okay, so moving on to this side of the bed. Couple of packing tips for jewelry. Number one is, when it comes to the 1940s, a lot of the times you have a purse that matches the outfit. And if you have multiple outfits, you have multiple different purses. This trip I have one purse and one hat. So, very simple. Props for packing light. But in other cases, what I do is I take the purse and I will take jewelry, scarves, pins, bracelets, gloves, anything that goes with that outfit, and I'll put it in the purse that goes with that outfit. So you can literally just grab the dress and the purse and you have your outfit plus your shoes. So I have literally filmed this 6 times, so apologies. It's been a long day, so all of the mistakes that are about to ensue, and hopefully I finish the rest of this video before it cuts off again. I don't know what's wrong with it, but I cannot get the camera to go for very long. So get ready for a speed round. So what we were just talking about, or the next jewelry tip, I have to remember everything. The next jewelry tip, or necklace specifically, is necklaces 100% of the time get tangled, and especially on trips. So a tip that my mom showed me was to lay a necklace out on either tissues or tissue paper or any sort of paper. Look at that. It's getting tangled already. Woo. Okay. And then to roll it up. It's really hard not to do on the table, but you can't see down there, so, or at least I don't know, I can't tell. And it will not tangle, and you can just pack this however you want to pack it. Alright, moving on. Let's see if I can even remember what I was doing. The next thing is 3 tips to do with shoes. First thing is, again, weather is very unpredictable, and it rains, and now all of a sudden your shoes are filthy. It doesn't even have to rain, and your shoes can get filthy, and you can't really put them back in the bag. Two different versions of this. One is putting your shoes into a shower cap, but for me, I always saw that and I was like, well, what if you want to use the shower cap? Now there's mud in it. So what my family does is use these small trash bags and puts them in there, and you tie them up and you put them in there. You guys might have already heard of this one because it literally is everywhere. The next shoe tip, actually it's these shoes, is to pick your biggest pair of shoes and wear them and on the trip, so that saves on suitcase room, saves packing and suitcase. It has seriously been a long day. The sun is going down, lighting is going to be horrible, and I don't know how to talk, so bear with me, please bear with me. This is why I do not have 100 subscribers. Whoa! The third tip is, I couldn't even count there. The third tip, it is third tip, is to pack a comfortable pair of shoes. Especially with vintage stuff, you wear heels almost all day. So when you get home or in the morning when you're getting ready, you don't really want to be wearing heels. Or if you go out to dinner after the reenactment, you don't really want to wear heels to dinner. So even on the trip, if you don't wear your biggest pair of shoes, then you should pack a comfortable pair of shoes to wear. And again, you probably already heard that. Speaking of weather, it's raining outside, but also speaking of weather, searching ahead, and this is something that, like, I think is common sense, and I think most people do it, but I almost forgot to do it on this trip, and then I was like, I should probably look it up. So look up the weather for wherever you're going, even sometimes depending on how long the trip is, the places that you're going to be at, so that you can pack correctly and wear the correct appropriate clothes. And also, you know, weather reports aren't always correct, so it could say it's going to be sunny, pack a raincoat. And it could say it's going to be freezing cold, pack some short sleeve shirts just in case it turns out to be really, really hot. Hopefully this doesn't look horribly chopped together, because it is. Kidding you not. Try number 7. Woo! Alright, so we were on this. Okay, again with the weather, the whole weather thing, and I had a really epic transition to that last time before the camera shut off, but I don't know how well these are going to cut together, so we're just going with it. Speaking of weather, it's raining outside. Also, it's really hard to find vintage rain jackets, especially with hoods and stuff. They're very far and few between, but what is more common is these trench coats. So I find either vintage trench coats or new trench coats that look vintage, and I pair them with a scarf, and that works as my rain. I don't know why I'm out of breath. Whew. Deep breath. Okay, that's what I do for my rain jacket. Another handy thing, and I have 2 for this trip, but scarves. Bringing scarves has become just a habit. I literally carry one on a regular day-to-day basis. It works for several different things. In vehicles, your hair can get all and crazy and stuff, so wearing a scarf helps with that. Helps. It doesn't completely prevent it, but it helps. I have bangs, so they, no matter what I do, will come out, but it helps with the rest of my hair, so I look halfway decent. Also, if it's raining, if you have curlers in, if, again, your hairstyle doesn't exactly work out, you know, the hairnet helps with the bottom half, but if the top still doesn't look bad, you can put a scarf on it. It still looks authentic, and nobody can tell that you're horrible at doing your hair. I'm talking to myself, by the way. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other things I use them for. Can't think of them right now. It's been a long day. I think I mentioned that in the last clip. I honestly don't know what got in and what didn't, so God's teaching me patience. And I'm failing miserably. Alright, I don't know if I said this before or not, but I have a couple more tips. I'm only taking on this trip 1 person, 1 hat, so props for packing light. And not for this video. Woo! The number one tip I have for clothes, and actually the only tip I have, is to try everything on before you pack it, because especially with vintage stuff, you're either wearing vintage or handmade. You can wear remakes, but most people wear vintage or handmade. So both of those have a tendency to fall apart. So you could pack something and not know that, oh, the hem's coming out, the zipper's broken, the button fell off, there's a stain or it faded. You know, any number of things, moss could have gotten to it, you know, any number of things could have happened to it, and it's really handy to try the outfit on and make sure. As the whole outfit, it's good to try it on because of the fact that you may otherwise have forgotten to bring safety pins because it needs safety pins. You may have forgotten to bring a necklace or bracelet or a specific hat. So trying stuff on really helps you get everything together. With hat pins, it's very handy to actually keep them in the hat. Number one, you can stab yourself if you put it in there. Number two is it's easier to notice that, oh, I remembered it because you can see it in the hat. That didn't make any sense whatsoever. I'm so tired. Okay. Oh, you won't lose it. That was what the other one was. You won't lose it because it's in your hat. And unless you have a tendency to lose your hat, you should be good. Okay, my last set of tips has to do with the road trip itself, and this doesn't have like anything specific to do with vintage. It's just, well, I was running out of tips, and so I added these. Thumbs up for honesty. Kidding, you don't have to. I think I'm funny. So when it comes to long road trips, I either overcompensate or undercompensate on things to do. I either have way too much and end up sleeping the entire trip, or not having enough and being bored out of my mind. So these are things that I've found that are entertaining. I think it just did the... No, it didn't. Okay. Whew. I thought it turned off again. So these are things that I've found work and are easy to pack and are entertaining in the long term. So first thing is book, not just any book, because I know you've heard the whole tip about the book before. You probably heard all of these before, but a novel that's entertaining and not one that you've never read before, because if you do that, it's a very, very bad mistake, because I did that once and I hated the book and I was, like I said, bored out of my mind because I didn't pack a book that I liked. So pack a book, not necessarily one that you've read before, but just one that you know is good or you've read several times, or not several times, contradicted myself there, that you've started to read and is entertaining. So book is number one. Number two is coloring. Yes, coloring. I'm not a kid, I just like coloring. And especially when you do like the adult coloring books or grown-up coloring books. Adult coloring book sounds bad. But there's a little bit more detail to it, and it takes a lot longer to color, so it lasts for a lot longer, so it's entertaining for a person who has a longer span of attention than a kid. So I just have a coloring book and a box of crayons, which are both easy to pack and don't take up that much space. The last thing is cards, because cards, even if you're playing solitaire, they can be extremely entertaining. This isn't really as much for the road as it is for you're at the hotel or wherever and you don't really want to go to bed, but it's too late to go out and do something. Cards are a very handy, entertaining thing to have. So before the camera turns off again, cheers for number 8. This is number 8 of turning that camera on. So please don't turn off. Actually, so just do the outro. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at AK Swashbuckler. You'll see a lot more of the better side of me than this, because this is not the better side of me. Twitter has a lot of updates as to videos, a lot of hints about the upcoming videos if you guys are interested. What else? Oh, speaking of World War II reenactments, because we were talking about World War II reenactments. I don't even think I said that in the video. We were talking about World War II reenactments this entire time. So, speaking of that, there is a World War II reenactment, and I was going to bring a poster upstairs with me, but I forgot. It's called Remembering World War II, and you can look it up online. It's rememberingwwii.com, and it happens September 23rd through the 24th, I think. Possibly through the 25th. I don't remember, and I don't want to say it and have people show up in the wrong date. Check it out. We have live vet stories. We had 100 vets there last year. Music and food and dancing and 2 reenactments, so at least I think I'm horrible at advertising. Okay, anyways, so if you all are coming out there and you're going to be there, let me know and we can meet. So I hope this was helpful. I know it was jumbled and bad grammar and bad editing, and I apologize immensely for all of that. But hopefully you found this helpful, and I upload every Friday. This is something that I've never said in a video, and I don't think I've said on social media, and then I expect people to expect it Friday. I'm a silly person who doesn't really understand what she's doing. So, hello internet. So I upload every Friday, and I will see you next time.